Hey guys, welcome back to the Carnivore Roundtable. This is John. I'm Carnivore Backwoods. Today I'm excited. I got a bunch of carnivore ladies on here to have a Carnivore Roundtable today. So I'm looking forward to it. We're going to introduce each one here individually. So we'll start off with Carrie. She's got a great channel. Her channel breaks stereotypes, explores anxiety relief through her journey with the diet, exercise tweaks, and a dose of hard rock and metal vibes. Let's say hi to Carrie. How you doing today, Carrie?
Hey, everybody. Great. Yeah, great to be here.
Outstanding. Glad to have you here. All right. And then we got Samantha. She began her carnivore journey back in August as a means to address anxiety, enhance overall health. The journey has brought about positive change, including weight loss, muscle gain, and overall improvement in well-being. All right, let's bring Samantha on here. Hey, Samantha, how you doing today? Your mic's muted, Miss Samantha.
I'm good. Sorry.
That's okay. We all do it.
Yep.
Thanks for being here. All right. And then we will bring on, wrong one, Cristie. And Cristie, Meeting Wellness. Her channel name obviously speaks volumes. I found this wellness when I was embraced my meat inclusive diet as a physical and mental well-being thrived. I shared my journey, cooking nourishment meals, discussing my experiences openly, encouraging both myself and my audience to embrace fitness with a touch of friendly competition. We're glad to have Cristie on here, and let's go ahead and bring her on. Hey, Cristie, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great today, John. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. And last but definitely not least, we got Katerina. Did I say that right? I hope I did. Switching to the carnivore diet out of desperation due to health issues. I found relief from various ailments, including autoimmune, mental health struggles. I shared the transformation journey on my YouTube channel to help bring similar challenges. The carnivore diet has brought significant improvements from weight loss to a near disappearance of PTSD, anxiety, and depression. And Kat, how are you today?
Hi, John. Absolutely ecstatic to be here.
Outstanding. Well, I'm glad to have you guys all on here. Thanks for being here. We've got some people filing in. We're up to 11 so far in the count. Looking forward to that. We a couple quick shout outs here. Karen says, hey Karen, how you doing? We got Richard. He's one of my regulars on the channel. I appreciate him. And then Meeting Wellness in here saying hi to all. And then we got Carnivore Leo. Hi, Cristie. So got some people in here. I'm glad to have you. So how's your guys' week been? Carrie, what have you been up to?
Oh, goodness. Well, the day job keeps me pretty busy, but in terms of my channel, I've been working on some things like a couple of shirt designs. And I've also started doing shorts in the morning when I do my morning walk. I'm capturing the sunrise, and each one is different and unique, and some have more clouds than others, and some have different colors. But I just thought that would be a great way to share and also kind of keep myself accountable too for my daily walks. And I'm also doing some videos now about other things that we can do in addition to diet to sort of round out our lives. And so I did post a video about meditation, and it's not as hard as we think it is to do, but there are some mental blocks, like how do you think of nothing, you know? So anyway, that's just some things I've been working on.
That's pretty hard to do once you go carnivore, because it seems like my mind's always working on 5 things at once. So, all right. Samantha, how are you doing today? Welcome to the channel. I appreciate you being on here with us.
Yeah, very good. I mean, it's an exciting day for me. So, I mean, every day is an exciting day for me, but just it's nice to be on here. I love getting with other carnivores and talking about carnivore, because then I don't feel like I'm as crazy, you know, when everyone looks at you like, what, you only eat meat? Yeah, I only eat meat.
Outstanding. I know you're going to take a little step back from your channel. Is that what you were saying? And so you're not planning a lot of stuff going on right now?
Yes. And I've been so back and forth. I was talking with Cristie about on her podcast. I had decided not to do it. And then I was like, no, I'm going to do it because I really want to just share a lot of things. But then I just got to the point where just life is too busy. I'm a realtor, real estate photographer, my kids, we homeschool, all the things. I just can't put in the time and dedication it would take to build the channel. So I'll still post shorts. I'm still posting on my Instagram. I'm just not gonna be able to make long form content. I still, I actually have a couple other podcasts that I'm scheduled to be on. So I still will get to talk about carnivore and get the message out there. I just do not have the time to do it. I have to remind myself that I can't do everything.
It gets tough, especially when you start doing long form and you got to edit videos and
Yep.
you're
And
trying
I'm
to
a
put together
perfectionist,
content that,
so I
yeah,
can't
you
just
get
throw
exactly.
it on there.
That's why I like live streams, because once I'm done with it, it's pretty much done. It's up, it's done. We don't have to do any more editing or anything to it. But
yeah, I am considering
long form
doing
videos are different.
lives. I'm just not sure.
Well, you should pop in every once in a while, keep your channel active, and
Yeah.
you're always welcome on here, or and I'm sure the other channels would be open arms to you to come on their channels too. So, just keep it open as a time that works for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Kat, what's going on with you this week?
Well, as you probably already know, because we've talked, I moved cross country. So I am my first full week here in the house. So it's been a lot of unpacking. I also homeschool my boys. So it's been a little crazy busy for that. I did finally get out a couple videos, and this is blurry. I'm sorry, but you don't want to see what's going on back here. So the blurry is doing something weird. But I did finally do a couple videos because I had to restock everything. There was no meat, no nothing here in the house. So I did a couple shopping videos and some restock my freezer with me type videos. Just to keep stuff going. And then I still have a few in the pipeline that I need to do for my why and that type of stuff that I already have pretty much done. But like you said, the editing is a seriously full-time job, and I am not an expert at all. So that with the move, unpacking boxes and dealing with the kiddos, it's been a rough week for me, but I think it's finally starting to level out a little bit.
That's outstanding. Well, I understand moving. I hate moving with a passion. So, for that matter, when I moved from Nevada to Tennessee, I sold everything we owned and got down to a car and a truck with a trailer of just the bare necessities, the stuff that we couldn't get rid of, or wouldn't get rid of. Came across the country, so I didn't have to deal with all the headaches of trying to move stuff. So
I should have done that too, and I'm beginning to wonder whose junk all this is. This can't possibly be all my crap, but.
That's what I told my wife. I was like, this stuff's junk, and I can buy my own junk when I get there. So we'll just get rid of it, and we'll buy more. We'll buy more junk once we get there. So, anyways, I hate moving. Now, where'd you move to again?
I'm in Colorado now. I came from Central Texas.
Okay.
And I'm in northern Colorado.
What part of Central Texas were you in?
Waco area.
Okay, I'm in Killeen. So.
Oh. I lived in Copper's Cove for a while, moved to Waco, and
yeah, I love this area. You would leave here to go to Colorado? Shame.
Well,
I'm kidding.
No, but my daughter's out here, my grandbabies are out here, and we own a property out here. So after my mom passed away, I miss having my family close by, and it just became more and more valuable to me to have them there. And so now I get to see my grandbaby every day, and it's just the best thing.
Yeah, that's better than
Colorado's a beautiful state.
It is.
I was born in Denver, so.
Oh, Denver. Whew.
Yeah, I don't know that I could ever live there, but it is beautiful to visit.
It is.
Cristie, what do you got going on this week?
I have some cool stuff coming up this week. So I did a collaboration with Robin, the carnivorous grandma. We did a mother-daughter chat. So that's coming up soon. We're going to premiere it, I believe, this week. And yeah, we're excited. So she was with her mom. I was with my mom. That was kind of fun. I also have lots of lives coming up. I didn't have too many last week. I just needed to take a breath. But what I found was that left me time to I don't know, I was just talking to more people. So I did a quick short about it. The lady at my work, she heard me talking all this time. And then she told me she wasn't going to start till November. She started October 1st, just giving up sodas, giving up her processed chips and stuff. And now she's her blood pressure medication is going to be reduced. And she came to me all excited on Thursday. They're going to have to take, my blood pressure was so low. I don't know if they're going to reduce it too, but she's going to let me know. So just cool stuff like that.
Isn't that a great feeling when you get a report back from somebody that you helped get on the, on the diet, or at least ways get them in the right direction? I mean, even if I get them low carb, in keto style, just the reports back, a coworker, gave me a report that she's no longer, considered diabetic. Their doctor, is no longer pushing, medication on her. That's awesome. That's my favorite non-scale victory. I don't, the stuff going on with myself, I love all that, but helping somebody and just giving them that little bit that gets them directed, in a more healthy lifestyle, that's amazing.
Well, especially because the first day we talked about it, she was like, "What? You're what now?" Like, she was totally skeptical. But then we just kept. I mean, I never was pushy, but she just kept asking questions, and then the next thing you know, she got real quiet, and then about 5 weeks later, she's like, "Guess what? Guess what?" I mean, she practically kept skipping into my classroom to tell me. So, yeah,
outstanding. So, conversation today is about metabolic health, and we're all coming to the diet from different positions. Some of us came to it for weight loss. Some of it came to it because they didn't want to be diabetic. Some people, are dealing with mental health issues. We're all coming to it from a different aspect, but it's all about metabolic health. Yesterday, I had a really good conversation with Dr. Tony Hampton about my lab results. And if I posted those up on a video. I got actually the live video, plus I went ahead and made a long form video out of it. But metabolically, a year ago, if you look at my labs, I was circling the drain. I was there at a point where things were all going to go bad for me. And come March, I learned, February into March, I learned about the carnivore diet, got on the carnivore diet. By July, I had drastically changed my numbers. And then by today, my numbers are even better. And so, let's go around and just ask, what have you got, out of your carnivore journey? What improvements have you had in your metabolic health that you'd like to share and talk about? And we'll start from the bottom and work up this time. Kat, you want to go first?
Well, so some of mine, I had started the carnivore diet or actually just way of life. I don't even call it a diet, out of desperation, because I had, of course, I say this all the time, and I don't want to be the repeating record, but, my mom had passed away, and she was not old. She was only in her 70s. And so and then my health issues were so bad, I couldn't walk most of the time. I was clinically obese. I had autoimmune issues. My CRP and everything was so high, they couldn't tell me what was wrong. Severe GERD, severe IBS, interstitial cystitis. I had all of these things, not to mention my cholesterol was really high. My triglycerides were in the 800s. That's not a joke. Excuse me, they tried to put me on statins and I couldn't do that. And my kidney function was bad. And I just had a whole lot of health things at one time. And I had such horrible inflammation in my body that I was actually hospitalized for a week. I couldn't walk because of my back. And they still can't tell me what was wrong. But I sat down on the couch that day and I was crying and I didn't know what to do. And I'm not saying that I was trying to off myself, because I wasn't, but I literally felt like I had nothing to live for. I was a burden to my family. I was a burden to, it just was unbelievable. I started out of desperation. I'm about to sneeze. I'm sorry, guys. I started out of desperation on the carnivore diet because my doctor said, you know what, you have insulin resistance, you have this, you have that, get on Ozempic, go do this, go do that, because we can't help you. That's what they said to me. And I ran across a Dr. Barry video on insulin resistance, and he started talking about the carnivore diet. So I took my happy hiney over to Sam's Club. And I don't know if you ladies know, but I was a whole food plant-based vegan for going on 13 years. I started throwing meat in the cart, like everything. Stuff I didn't even know what it was, oxtails. Whatever. It was in the cart. I came home.
Wow.
I was desperate, and I don't know exactly what I weighed when I first started. I can tell you that after a couple weeks of being on what I would consider a keto-ish kind of carnivore diet, I had dropped down to 235. I noticed that my blood pressure, I would take my blood pressure. It was quite a bit lower. It was actually getting a little too low for my blood pressure medicine. I didn't have GERD anymore. I lost all the IBS symptoms, and I don't know if you would consider this a metabolic issue, but I have severe PTSD. I am a veteran. I have horrible anxiety and depression, debilitating to the point that I couldn't leave the house. And you guys, I go out to the grocery store and I go shopping and I don't lose. I mean, I'm going to sneeze. I'm sorry. Colorado is getting me. But I would not even like I would tear the heads off of everybody in my house. I was always grumpy, always mean, always angry, always miserable. And I don't know, like I said, if it's a metabolic thing per se, but for me, by far and wide, if you want to talk about the things that the carnivore diet has done for me, it's not the weight loss, although I have finally gone well under 200 pounds. So that's a huge, and I started in July. I didn't do that though. I would have remained that size forever if it meant that I could feel the way that I feel right now. And so for me, it was the mental health. The mental health things have literally just been nothing short of a miracle. So I actually have an appointment coming up in about 10 days to get my labs done again. But the last time I went, my kidney function had improved to the point that it was now normal kidney function. My cholesterol was down, still was high, but we have that conversation about cholesterol all the time. And every other one of my labs turned out to were completely normal. It's the first time this has happened in years. So I will have a better idea of what all those numbers are going to be in about 10 days. But I know I kind of veered off there. I apologize. You were asking metabolic health, but for me, it's a mental health.
It's all metabolic health.
Yeah, for
It's
me,
all metabolic health.
and even my family will tell you, like my husband normally, and I'm not saying I don't lose my temper because I do. I'm Czechoslovakian and we're just a mean bunch anyways. But I literally can handle stress like I never could before. Everybody says that I'm a completely different person. And how, you guys tell me how your diet can do that. How does just what you eat fix all of this? I don't know, but it is a miracle.
It is I don't know. Personally, I would call it definitely metabolic health. I think that anxiety and mental health and PTSD and a lot of other issues that people are dealing with are directly related to their health and their metabolic health and their nutrition that they're eating. But, I'm not a doctor, but that would be my personal opinion. I would say definitely it is part of your overall metabolic health. It's definitely a symptom of bad metabolic health.
For sure.
Well,
I don't want to
there's a quick question. What's that?
I said, I don't really want to interrupt, but it just blows my mind that so many doctors just refuse to put these links together, that your metabolic health really does affect every single aspect of your life. I'm just like, 2 + 2 is 4, right? Like we haven't got to that point. I don't get it.
So somehow we stopped.
Tells me, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Mine still tells me to get off the carnivore diet. I have a new doctor out here in Colorado that I will go see and see what they say. Colorado is voted one of the healthiest states in the union. So I can't wait to see how that works. But my current doctor still says in my notes, I've advised, so that this is, that this is going against my medical advice, almost like it's a fail-safe. So if she comes back, something's wrong, I'm not responsible. But they're still telling me, even though I lost all this weight and all of these other things have changed, they're still telling me to get off.
But you're in danger.
You're going to die. So
ridiculous.
It's absolutely insane. But dietdoctor.com. Go to dietdoctor.com and you can look up doctors in your area that are low carb friendly. Or Google search low carb doctors. Definitely worth doing. There are not a lot of them. They're far and few between. We'd all like to have a Dr. Ken Berry in our backyard, or Dr. Tony Hampton, or Dr. Kiltz, or Dr. Anthony Chafee. It'd be great to have a whole bunch of those guys around you, but unfortunately, there's not a lot of them. But some areas have more than others. So I would definitely look into that and see where your doctor ranks in that you're thinking about going to. And before you commit to that, you might look around. You might find somebody that's a little bit more metabolically healthy friendly.
Yeah. And if you do have a doctor you're committed to, like, don't be afraid to be that person that like kind of challenges your doctor. Say, hey, well, have you read this book? Maybe you should check out this resource and get their minds brewing. Cause I think that's how a lot of doctors, like overall, like even Dr. Berry talks about how he wasn't always 100% correct. And it wasn't until he started piecing things together, being challenged in what he always knew.
Maybe we should all send a book to our doctor for Christmas. Why is my doctor told me we could all send him a book.
Merry Christmas,
Wouldn't
Doc.
that be Merry Christmas? Here's a book for you.
You're a liar. Happy Christmas. No.
We'll talk in January after you've had time to read this.
Yeah.
Oh, let's move over to Cristie here. Cristie, what have you been dealing with? What do you tie together with metabolic health? Sorry.
Yeah, so I'll try to stay, narrow in on that metabolic, specific to metabolic health. So I'll talk about my blood work in a minute, but right, Carrie?
Right.
But I feel like for me, I just sort of went into this almost accidentally. I went first keto to lose weight, and I did lose weight, but as my carbs got down really close to zero, that's when I started to see all of the other benefits. So specific to my metabolism, I wrecked mine. So I would go through periods of starving myself, trying to get my calories as low as I could, barely able to put one foot in front of the other, and then going through phases of just binging on the most unhealthy things, Doritos and Oreos and ice cream and whatever, until I would put on a little weight and then go back into starving. So yeah, my metabolism was wrecked, and even it didn't matter like what part of the cycle I was in. I was very obsessed with food, with calories, with just trying to be in charge of that number in my head. It was like a calorie counter just nonstop in my head, especially during the times when I was trying to reduce those calories down. So I'd have like little competitions with myself. It was nonstop. Like, I don't know how I functioned doing anything else. Like, part of my brain at all times was dedicated to that. Yesterday, before I went to a wedding, and I had asked ahead of time, and there was going to be no food there for me because it was a lot of seafood, which I don't like. A lot of it had sauces. Even the chicken, it was chicken breast and it had sauce. I was like, that's all right. I'm just going to pass. So I ate in the morning. I probably ate about 1.5 pounds of picanha, and that was like really early in the morning though. So by the time that we stayed longer, and it's a far drive, it's about 2 hours to get there and 2 hours home. So by the time the wedding was over, it had been about 12 hours since I had eaten that picanha, and I was hungry again. And I did the whole a la carte thing at McDonald's. It did work. I got 4 quarter-pound patties for like $5. I was like, yes. The only thing missing was I didn't have my Redmond salt in my purse, but that's all right. But yeah, I ate another pound of beef. Was I worried about it? Was I wondering how much fat was in there? No. Did I worry that my jeans were going to fit me this morning? Also, no. That's probably the most meat I've eaten in one day. I'm fine. Like, I don't think about that stuff. That's mental health and metabolic health, kind of all wrapped into one there. But I'm eating way more now. I don't count it, but like, I'm for sure eating way more now. I'm basically maintaining my weight. It goes up and down like all of us. It's not something I think about anymore.
So let's talk about McDonald's for just a second. So, I mean, we've all ate McDonald's and we've all ate the burgers and stuff. Did you ever think to yourself when you were eating the standard American diet and you're eating McDonald's that like, this is a really good hamburger? But once you go and you just order the burger and you put a little bit of salt on it, you're like, wow, this is actually pretty good beef. It's surprising.
It was, and they made them fresh. You could tell it was almost too hot to eat when they
always make
that before. But everybody talked to, I've heard people say it. I'm like, well, I'm 2 hours from home. I'm hungry. Let's roll through the drive-thru. I'm like, can I get a la carte patties? They're like, oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then what you do, a little hack for people is when you order a la carte like that, then you give them your app, the McDonald's app, you give them the number off there, and then it saves that order in your phone. So the next time you're on the way there, you just click over and order, boom, boom, and click submit, and then you roll up and give them your number, and you can get 4 more patties, and you don't even have to deal with the person at the counter because your order's already placed. It's already on there.
Okay. Well, question. Yeah. So, and that'll work like at any McDonald's? Because obviously I was at a McDonald's All right. Cool.
Anywhere in the country is if they take the mobile app, then you could, like I said, once you got it saved on the phone, you can't order from the phone and get a la carte. But once it's saved on the phone, you can reorder from the phone.
Okay.
And so it's a quick little hack to get in there so you can order before you get there, and you can just roll up, my code, blah, 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 blah. You pull around, you go straight up. They're probably going to park you because they cook them fresh, and you're going to get fresh, hot, 1 pound of meat. You can't beat that. My favorite place to go, though, is Wendy's. Wendy's actually.
Everyone keeps saying that. I haven't tried it.
I like Wendy's better.
Wendy's actually doesn't freeze their meat. Their meat is fresh and never frozen. So there's the benefit of that. I think personally, I have no proof of this. It's just speculative as a lot of things people say, but I think that the fresher the meat is, the healthier it is for you, the more nutrition you're going to get out of it. I like Wendy's for that.
Some nutrition out of it.
Yeah.
So I also just had blood work done. So as you know, John, because you were listening to my question yesterday. So I'm a lean mass hyper responder. I looked it up. I definitely meet all those where I forget the exact, there's cutoff lines, right? But your HDL has to be so high. Your triglycerides have to be so low, under a certain bar. And then I remember this one, your LDL has to be over 250, which mine was over 350. My LDL, but my HDL is up there. My triglycerides are low. The ratio is less than 1. And then I was looking at Dave Feldman's most recent research on this. I even sent the link to Carrie, because Carrie, my friend up there, is also a lean mass hyper responder. But yeah, Dave Feldman is making progress on that, and it's looking like those most likely, from what he was sort of insinuating, that from the 100 lean mass hyper responders that he's given heart scans to, none of their scores were over 10. Isn't that what you got from that, Carrie,
Yep.
from the video? And he's so excited about it. He would not show the data, but he's like, we're doing a preliminary paper, and the study will be finished February 8th of 2024. So now I want a CAC score, because I bet it's 0.
It was the baseline. So
Yeah,
they were going to be tested again. I think it was a year after the initial ones.
Yes.
And so the baseline, none of them had one less than 10. More than 10,
More
which
than
I thought
10.
was phenomenal.
And he wasn't expecting that. He gave 4 scenarios that he was expecting, but that wasn't one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So he was just shocked, and so shocked that he's going to use that data to write a preliminary paper. But yeah, they'll be finished with their second scan and all of that by, like I said, February 8th, I think he said, of 2024. So heart scans, CAC scores a year apart, to see if that high LDL is causing, plaque to build up. But the people in this study were mean age, of 55, 60 males, 40 females, as well as average time of being on a ketogenic diet of over 4 years. So not newbies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's pretty encouraging for those of us who's my doctor called me 4 times and we never did connect, and she just stopped calling me. But Kat, I imagine that in my chart, there's a similar note. I certainly stop it right now.
I have the same note in mind. Trust me. All right. Really quick, just before I forget this, when I requested my labs from ownyourlabs.com, it's really simple to do. You go on the website, you pick out the labs that you want to do. There's a price for each one. Some of them are fairly cheap. Some of them get really expensive depending on what you want to get into. But the interesting thing that I found on it, is it started asking me questions about my diet. And one of those questions was, what diet are you on? And carnivore was actually on the list. So they're doing some type of little data probe there that they're putting this together on these questions. And Carnivore Diet was on the list. It only cost me I think all total I was $26. I got my A1C, my lipids, and my metabolic panel. I just picked out the 3. I probably should have done a couple others, but looking back at it now, but I was just kind of dinking around with it at night and decided to order them because I knew I had a live stream coming up with Dr. Tony, and I wanted to see what where my numbers were.
Yeah.
And
so it was hard for me when I was talking to Dr. Tony. I went there too after the initial panel that told me your LDL is high, but everything else is good. I went and had the particle density test done through On Your Labs. So it told me I have the big fluffy LDLs. My small dense particles it couldn't get any lower. On the graph, those could not, if the arrow was any lower, it would have been off the low end of the graph. So
I'm going to have to do it now. I'm going to have to do it. I'll post an update on my channel when I do it, but I'm definitely curious to find out. And funny thing is 6 months ago, I was like, I don't want my labs ever done again. But now I'm like, kind of really want to know.
It's just intriguing to know it all. Like Dr. Chafee's like, why would I get my labs done? It's useless. I feel great, all the things. But I'm like, it's just intriguing. And I feel like it's a weapon against the naysayers. Like, no, everything checks out, actually.
Yeah, and we all run into that. Everybody on here wants to know our numbers. I get that question all the time. When's the last time you had your lab done? What's going on with it? So, I mean, if we're going to be on here and be, carnivore YouTube creators, and I don't have a problem with posting my numbers because they're all fantastic.
Yeah.
Everything except for my A1C, which shocked me. But then I was like, okay, I understand that if you go and do a little bit of research, my red blood cells are probably living longer because I'm eating healthier. And so I show more sugar in my system than I should, because my fasting glucose was like 88. And anytime I take my glucose with my own little, glucose machine, I'm in the 80s. So there's no way I'm averaging 114, 120, which is what a 5.8 would be. So, obviously there's something wrong.
So is that what you're at? You're at 5.8?
I was at 5.8 this time. I was at 5.7. I was at 5.7 in July. I was at 5.8 here this week in November. It was like Wednesday that I got my results. And then a year ago, July 2022, I was 7.1. So
I'm going to say, because 5.8, that's not even considered diabetic anymore, is it?
Yes.
5.6 and above, or 5.7 and above,
And glycated,
it's right.
Dr. Berry recommends getting a glycated albumin that will give you a true marker, because the albumin doesn't live as long. He's got an explanation, and you can probably find it on his video.
Yeah, no, I was looking at that.
Yeah,
C-peptides and something else that you need to do, and I'll probably look at doing that the next time.
The albumin though is like a replacement, or it'll sort of like a proxy for the A1C in people who, if the theory is correct about the hemoglobin living longer, then this number is sort of a better representation of that. So I'm going to ask for that. I didn't realize it. I had already had my lab work done when I heard Dr. Berry talk about it. But it's a thought. I'm going to go ahead and probably do like what y'all did and order off of the Own Your Labs and just go ahead and get a whole nother panel done.
It's exactly like getting an order from your doctor. Once you submit it, they send you a PDF that you print, that your doctor order. You go to LabCorp, they're going to draw blood just like you would if your doctor had ordered it. And then it's going to be on your app, the LabCorp app. It was on there 24 hours later. It was already posted. So
unless you're in California.
Yeah.
We have that fun law where your and there's not even my doctor, but whoever that doctor was from Own Your Labs that signed that, they had my results first. And it's like about 36 to 48 hours before I can have them.
Well,
it's like a law.
So there's that. And I think there's a couple places that you can't even do it, a couple states that you have to look at it.
Isn't that wild that we can't be in control of our own health, that we can't know our own situation?
It is pretty
There's no money in that.
Of course.
Yeah. There's no money.
Don't make me put on my tinfoil hat, because I sure will.
Yeah. There's no money in that. If we can't sell you drugs, then what's the point?
Exactly. It's wild.
Samantha, let's talk about your metabolic health journey.
Yeah. So I started carnivore in August. I had no intention, I needed to lose weight, but I didn't do it for weight loss. I have lost 11 pounds. I actually made a reel on Instagram about it yesterday, because I stepped on the scale and I was 132, and I had my goal was 135. I got to that a couple weeks ago, and I just stepped on randomly. I was like, oh, it's down again. And I had just showered, so my hair was wet and everything. I was like, I am probably lower than 132. And so for the first time ever, I'm losing weight without trying. I don't count calories, and I've done if it fits your macros. I've done the calorie counting. I've done 6 days a week's working out, you know, and I'm working out 2 to 3 days a week. I don't push myself as hard as I should, especially because I'm training for a competition. But I don't work out super heavy. I'm not counting calories. I eat when I'm hungry. I don't when I'm full. It's the first time ever that weight's just coming off and I have no intention. So that's a plus, but that's not why I started carnivore. The biggest thing was for anxiety. And I have been unintentionally experimenting with myself the past 3 weekends. I can definitely say that sugar, even in small amounts, is detrimental to my mental health. And I don't know why I did it again last night. I talked to Cristie about this when I was on her podcast. 2 weekends in a row, I allowed myself to splurge. And that whole week I was suffering with anxiety because of it. And then last night we had book club. On the way to book club, I even stopped and I got some McDonald's patties, even though I'm convinced they probably have plastic in them too, but it's still better than the other stuff. So I got some McDonald's patties and I had 3.5. I couldn't eat all of it. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna be full. But then I got there and I had a tiny little piece of pumpkin pie. And then I had some bites off my kids' cookies. And after all those bites, it probably equaled a whole cookie. And this morning I went to Sunday school at church and I'm just like having a panic attack the whole time. Even at the start of this call, I'm like having anxiety and I'm just like, I don't want to go back to this because I had not been experiencing that probably from about 2 weeks being on carnivore. I had just been like, I'm not thinking of anxiety. I'm not thinking about the things that make me anxious. And I have suffered with anxiety for 12 years. It's 22 hours out of the day, even waking up at night. Anxiety. I'm high functioning. So I'm able to go out and work and take care of my kids and go to the store and things like that. But it's like constant torment mentally. And so I can definitely say I truly believe God brought me the carnivore diet as an answered prayer because I've been begging, Lord, take this anxiety away. And it's like, here, I'm giving you a tool. Stop eating the pumpkin pie. Here's your tool. And I don't even know why, because I didn't even want it. I wasn't even craving it. I was just like, oh, this is here. I'm going to eat it. But that's been good. I was actually just looking at my labs. So I got labs done in September of 2022. I don't remember why I got them done, but my A1C was 4.8 then. And then I got it again in October of this year. And my A1C was 4.9. So I guess it's all still good there. Everything looked good. I did get the density one, the lipid panel, and everything is kind of in the orange. So it's not quite in the green like I want it to be. My LDL side is in the green, but it's on the high side. But that's the first one I've done on carnivore. And so I was about 60 days in carnivore. So I'm excited to see, probably going to test them again in about 30 to 60 more days and see if those numbers start lowering, which they will. Yeah.
They will. It's dramatic. I mean, if you my ADLs, my triglycerides went from 200 and something down to what were they, 80 in July and 56 this week. I mean, the dramatic drop.
That's crazy. Yeah, my my triglycerides were 4.9 this time, or 49 this time. No, 55. And my triglycerides last time were 74. So
they came down some.
Yeah.
Which is good. So the lower the triglycerides, the higher the HDL, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah. My concern is my HDL has always been low. So even pre-carnivore, my HDL was only 47. And then now it is 49. So it came up a little bit. But I'm like, I eat all the fat. I eat the egg yolks. Come on, HDL, work with me.
It'll go up. You'll see it. Give it 6 months, and then you'll be amazed at the numbers.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Well, outstanding. Before I move to Carrie here, just one thing, guys. If you can hit the like button, subscribe button for these guys, they all have great channels. You got Meat Field Living Cat over here. You got Meeting Wellness, and give her a like. You got Metamorphosis up there. And then Samantha, what is your channel again? I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
No, it's just my name. It's just Samantha H. Yeah, I don't know why I don't put it on the little bottom. I should. And I will post sometimes eventually if you want to like it. But my Instagram is probably a better place to get more content for me. And that's just at Samantha H _. So
cool. Outstanding. So anyways, give these guys a like and subscribe. And I appreciate this is the first Carnivore Roundtable where I've had a panel of carnivore ladies on here. So I'm excited to have them all on here today. So And they're definitely some of the rock stars on YouTube for carnivore ladies. So I'm even more excited about that. Carrie, let's talk about your metabolic health.
Well, I started low carb back in 2015, sort of as a preemptive strike against type 2 diabetes, because I saw how poor my mother's quality of life had gotten. So I had gradually worked down to carnivore. It was not an intentional thing, but I stumbled into it in December of last year when a neighbor gifted me some boxes of meat. It's a great gift and a great neighbor, right? And I was just eating off of all that meat. So I was not diabetic or anything like that, but I will tell you, just like the rest of you ladies, my anxiety, I had been plagued with it since I was 20 years old. I had this severe panic attack when I was 20. I don't know where it came from. It was terrifying. And it was almost like this extended, the very first time it happened, it was like an extended panic attack where it would wax and wane for like, I'm talking
Days
like,
sometimes.
yes, days, like a couple weeks. And I just suffered with it. I didn't tell anybody. And then it just kind of went away. And then periodically throughout my adult life, it would just like come and go like that. But periodically I would just have these panic attacks out of the blue. And what I noticed after becoming carnivore, and that will be 1 year coming up this, next month, is the anxiety is gone. The panic attacks completely gone. Now, they had gotten a whole lot better as I went lower and lower carb. I mean, I was basically ketovore right before I ended up just, graduating to all meat. However, there was something about that last bit of veg that I was having that just completely changed where, I don't know. And I've got that carnivore calm. Like if a stressful situation comes up, I can just deal with it now. I'm not panicking. I'm not thinking, well, maybe I need to call my son. Maybe I need to call my daughter. Maybe I need to do, I would just reason through it and just take care of it. And the last few months, I have definitely had some stressful situations, which life does do that. It's not unusual. It's just, especially lately, there was like boom, 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 just several things that came up, one thing right after another. And I was just able to deal with them. So in terms of metabolic health, my last A1C, I was just, I wasn't trying to be rude, but everybody had their labs and I was like, oh, I need to refresh my memory. So my last A1C was 5.3, which was a little bit higher. Normally when I was doing just like ketovore was like 4.9. So that's a little bit weird. That's why I was very interested when I heard Dr. Berry talk about that glycated albumin test, because I'm wondering, I'm hoping that's, and 5.3 is not bad by any means. It's just that it's higher than it's been ever. Like even before I went low carb, my A1C was never, it was never at a diabetic level. So that was bizarre. But I had also gotten my vitamin D tested and it was at 120. So my doctor was like panicky, like, you're over 100, you need to stop, So I think, okay. But I wanted to also just mention about metabolic health that Ben Bickman and Chris Palmer both have excellent books about that. And basically what they're saying is that every malady that the body has is due to metabolic health. And insulin is a big cause of it.
Is Chris Palmer the one that, like, I think I remember him talking about he's the psychiatrist, right? Like he had the patient with schizophrenia even that got like a lot better, maybe not cured, but noticeably better on carnivore or keto carnivore, whatever. Yep.
He's the one. And I've watched a lot of his videos and it's fascinating. And Dr. Bickman can just, well, I'm not sure if he's a doctor actually. He's like he's intelligent enough to be a doctor, but I know he is a researcher for sure. And but he can explain these things in such a way that the layperson can understand it. You don't have to have this advanced degree or whatever. And his book is Why We Get Sick. Excellent book. I recommend that you read it. It's great. And just in very casual language, and it's just plain language, and it's not just all this complicated stuff. And I found that refreshing because I do enough thinking during my day job when I'm reading for fun, and you know what I'm saying? I don't want to, it's like, gosh, don't make me think this hard.
Don't make me think too much. Don't let me Google the words and pull out a dictionary. Just
Right.
simplicity. Yeah.
I know. And so then the last thing, let's see, and I had, for the very first time ever, got my fasting insulin done. And it was at 3.8, which according to Common Sense Labs is, below the 5 that's optimal, according to Dr. Berry, but yet it's not too low. So I was like, yeah, because you don't want your insulin, obviously, to be 0, because then you'll be type 1 diabetic. You don't want that.
Then you're dead.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was happy about that because I just was so afraid. I don't want to end up the way my mother did, and it was totally unnecessary. She didn't have to end up that way. But so hopefully now, when I'm in my 80s, my kids aren't going to be worrying about me. The only thing they're going to worry about is whether I'm going to wear wear my great grandkids out, So
Yeah,
that's my goal.
My mom has heart disease, and my dad has all kinds of thyroid issues. He had an aneurysm a few years ago. Actually, it's by the grace of God that he's even alive because he tried to sleep it off. Yes, it's a whole thing. So at what point is insulin too low? Because mine's 2.2.
That's a good question. I don't think yours is probably too low, but
Okay,
you're getting down there.
maybe I need
that
to
would
do
be a
something.
good question for Dr. Berry, actually.
So I don't
Okay.
know what the number is, but Dr. Sivis, I saw a video of his, that's the carb addiction doc, was talking about there is concern if it's too low, because if it's too low, you're no longer insulin sensitive. And
Okay.
then that's bad. But he did not give a number. It's like CY.
Yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah, and you could also check in that Common Sense Labs book, or
I need to
if
get
you're,
that book.
I've actually got it, and I was looking to see if it's over here by my desk, because I don't want to be rude and go dig for it if it's not handy. But you could message me, and I can look it up in the book and just see what, I'm not sure if he has in the book, what would be considered too low.
Yeah.
I know that there's just ranges, and he's got, it's like less than 5 is optimal. But I mean, I've heard him say that obviously you don't want it to be 0 because that would make you.
Yeah, I knew you wouldn't want it 0, but I was like,
yeah. So I just don't know what it, if it's 1 or less that would be too low, maybe, or something like, I don't know.
Huh.
That would be a really good question for
That means
him.
something to think about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of course, on the labs, it says it's low, but that's, I don't go based on those, because we know that those are weighed against unhealthy, sad diet people. So I'm just like,
Exactly.
That sounded really judgmental when I said that. I didn't mean it like that. Just like, we know that the standards are based on people who are not metabolically healthy. So we can't really go based on the ranges they give us.
Right. And let's see, the last item was my LDL, and my LDL was like 200 and yes, my LDL alone.
Yeah. There we go,
like
Carrie.
298.
Yep.
So it had gone up back in, as I went low carb and went lower carb, and then it stayed the same for about 3 years, like around 240, 230, something like that. But boy, after I went carnivore, it jumped way up there. And I've been seeing the same doctor for a long time, and we just sort of have an understanding. He's a cool guy, but even the nurse, though, I wonder if it's the highest one that she'd seen or something, because she kind of had this panic in her voice when she called me, and I just happened to answer the phone because I knew it was them because I had the number saved in my phone, and I went ahead and answered it. And she was just like, you need to be, and I know that my doctor would be, he has to suggest a statin, but then I don't think that he would nag me about it because he just knows I'm not going to take one now. I mean, there's notes all in my chart and he doesn't say anything. So I just politely declined it again. And I've already explained to him my main concern is my fasting glucose, my fasting insulin, just whether my triglycerides are low and my HDL is high. I'm more concerned about my metabolic health than I am whether my cholesterol is high. And that in the grand scheme of things, when we're talking about risk of heart disease and calcification and all of that, diabetes and metabolic syndrome, those are all, if you have high blood pressure. And that's another thing. My blood pressure had gotten a whole lot better on just keto and ketovore. However, when I would go to the doctor's office, it would like jump up there. And it wouldn't be like terribly dangerous, but I mean, it would be enough to where they just got to where they would take it a couple of times and then it would drop down to be enough to where it wouldn't be, a red flag in my chart. But because they had me wear a monitor, about 3 or 4 years ago. And that's how we determined that it was just white coat syndrome.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I actually had a follow-up appointment last week just with a specialist that I see periodically. And first time that they took my blood pressure, it was 122/80. That's the first time they took it. So, I mean, they didn't take it again because, 120/80 is like the, what the goal, don't want to be. And I was just like so happy. And likewise, when I had gone to my physical back in September, the same thing. I mean, the number was very similar. So I'm just like, yes. I mean, I don't even really have white coat syndrome now anymore either. So that's awesome.
But maybe you did. Maybe it was actually lower than that.
It could be. Yeah, it probably was lower because that's true. I do have a cuff that I'll periodically test myself, and it's generally lower than that. So, I mean, that is a valid point. Mm-hmm. So I guess I do still have it, but now it just means that my blood pressure is what they consider normal instead of, they don't have to try 10 times to get a reading that doesn't raise a flag.
Dr. Barry's got a great video on that, how they're supposed to take your blood pressure. And I've never had anybody do it that way.
Yeah, never.
You're supposed to go in, your feet are supposed to be firmly planted on the ground. How many times you're sitting there, and your legs aren't, you're not comfortable. They just throw this thing on you. The cuff doesn't, I got big arms. The cuff doesn't fit my arm properly. So they're not using the right size cuff. Mm-hmm. They don't give you time to relax. All these steps, they're going to definitely give you a higher number than what you probably were if you were just sitting there comfortably and relaxed. So, guys, I'm going to run through these comments real quick and say hi to a few people here. Anybody's got questions, please put some Q's in it. I start a whole bunch of comments, but I don't really have any questions at this point. But if you got something that you want to ask, looks like I got 16 here that I haven't even got to yet. So I'll get back to those in a minute. First of all, I'm going to give a shout out to Sean, the butter trucker. I'm going to be on his channel tonight, the Bacon Convoy.
Butter Daddy.
Yeah. Yeah. He calls me butter, something butter back or daddy butter backwoods. That's what he likes to call me. So I'm calling him the butter trucker. This all started a few weeks ago when I was on a live with Nicole, so you can imagine how that came about. Got Facebook. I would like to drop a suggestion here. I do and have been grounding with earth mats for 24/7 grounding while I do carnivore. I think on it, even lions get to lay on the earth all the time. All as well as in animals, I believe the two work hand in hand. Great to bring down information, and Samantha is fantastic for anxiety. Just an FYI for everyone. I've not done a lot of research into that. I've heard several people. I've seen videos posted on it. I know people that that swear by it. I don't know. Post in the comments if any of you guys are grounding. And what
my doctor told me to actually do grounding. My thing is, I hate to be barefoot. Like, I don't even walk barefoot in my own house. And so walking outside without shoes on in the grass, like, literally makes me want to vomit. So It's like the idea is very hard for me. Maybe if I was on a beach, but even when I'm at the beach, I'm like, I need shoes.
That is funny because I hate wearing shoes. So
Me
My
too.
husband
I
does
don't.
too.
Yeah,
I'm
I
always
don't wear
barefoot.
shoes. Like I'll go out to like on Monday morning, just as an example, to pull my trash can down, for them to pick up my trash, and I'll just be barefoot. And I'll even do it in the winter time. I'll just be barefoot and walk down there with the trash can. Now I've always been that way. I've always hated shoes anyway.
My husband's the same way. He hates shoes, and all my kids hate shoes. They would be barefoot all the time. I'm like, that's how you get tetanus, people. Put shoes
Well,
on.
I keep
So you
busting
can
my
walk across the
toes.
lawn and step in something the dog left for you. Then you're like, oh, I'm going to put
True.
shoes on from now on.
Yeah,
I
I
don't wear
have
shoes
stepped in
either.
dog poo.
I haven't stepped in it. I don't wear shoes, and I keep stubbing my toes on everything. I guess it's because this house is new, and I keep breaking my little baby toe. If I'd wear shoes, I wouldn't have that problem. But I never wear shoes. I always have my shoes off. I don't know why, but I like to be barefoot everywhere.
What I think she's referring to in here is I think you can get a mat that actually hooks to a ground, probably through the house wiring, and that mat you can be on in the house, and it'll help ground you out, to the earth.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, so I think that's what
I
she's
have
referring
heard
to.
of
She can comment again here. She's on my my Facebook channel, so we definitely like to hear more on
I've
it.
never heard of
Anybody
that.
else have grounding stories they'd like to share? Put it in the comments. We'll get to it in a minute. I'm going to throw this. This is my Linktree link up. If anybody wants to be on the Carnivore Roundtable, you don't have to have a YouTube channel. If you want to come on here and share your story and be part of the panel and talk about carnivore, I'm more than willing to have you guys on or do an interview with you. So you can reach out to me. That's my Linktree, and you got all my links in there, including my email address to reach out to me. That is also pinned on the top of the chat in my live stream on my channel. Mama Cracker, how are you doing today? We got William. How are you doing today? My Apex Odyssey, how are you? Sandra, how are you? We got B-Dog from Franklin, Texas. Let's see. Carnivore Leo just subbed to Katrina. Let's see here. Morning all. Let's see. Mike Shaw here. Hey, friends. The RV Carnivore. That's a new one. I haven't seen you before, but I appreciate you being here.
He's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Everybody in the carnivore community is so awesome. I love everybody on there. Grateful Keto. I don't see the point of doing cholesterol labs maybe once after being carnivore for 6 months, but after that, who cares? Trust the system. I agree. Like I said, I have no desire to do it for my personal, other than I'm curious. I was curious about where I was at, and I wanted to do a video about it, to post on it, because I knew I was going to have Dr. Tony Hampton live on my channel. So it was a good conversation with him yesterday. But I'm not overly concerned with it. You guys overly concerned with getting lab work done?
I think
I'm not overly concerned with it, but you made a very valid point earlier in that a lot of viewers, if you have a channel, people are interested in labs and they have questions like, how long does it take before this, or just whatever. And they are maybe more concerned than we as seasoned carnivores, so to speak, would have. So I do it just out of curiosity. Now, I used to measure a lot of things. I was religious about measuring. I've got a glucose monitor, and for example, and I went through this phase where I was measuring my blood sugar just about every 10 minutes.
That's called our anxiety. That's what that is. Because I do the same thing.
And now I don't, but I mean,
now I don't, but I did.
Yeah.
The blood pressure cuff, the glucose monitor, the CO2 monitor, all of it. I have all of it. But I think for me with testing my cholesterol, it really comes down to I'm still breaking, even though I don't trust the system anyway, I'm still breaking what we're taught, oh, cholesterol is bad. This is bad. And even though I know that cholesterol is the least important marker when it comes to heart attack and stroke risk, it's all about all the other factors that bring up metabolic health. Now, maybe if all those things are poor, plus you add in high cholesterol, then that may be a bad thing. But when all the other things are great and high cholesterol doesn't even matter. So I think for me, it's still breaking that pattern. So I like to see how things progress. But I don't necessarily care to get them. Like I'll probably get another one done in 6 months, but I'm not going to test it like every 6 to 12 months or anything. Like I'm just not going to do that. As long as I'm feeling good, I'm not having any issues. Like that's what I care about.
Well, I had never had labs done like literally my whole life, except, you know, the ones they did when I was pregnant and stuff. So I was kind of just curious. And then now that I'm this lean mass hyperresponder, and even Dr. Tony Hampton was like, we just don't have any information. Like, we just don't know if that's okay to have that much LDL or not. Now, granted, all the other numbers are good. So he said he wouldn't change anything at this point, but we just don't know. So then that led me to look more into Dave Feldman and what's going on with that. And I feel like maybe for me, the CAC score is more important. Like if that,
I think that's for everybody.
I'm not going to worry about that LDL because my CAC score is a 0.
See, my doctor's not even a carnivore doctor or a low carb doctor. I mean, she does agree with like keto, but she even told me like she wants me to continue doing carnivore for the next at least 6 months to a year. She did say that she eventually wants me to come off and go keto. I'm not sure I'm going to do that, but she was like, I don't care if your cholesterol's high. Every cell in your body is made of cholesterol. Your brain needs it. Like, I don't care if it's high, as long as your other markers are good. And she's not like, I mean, she's more like naturalistic, but she's not like a carnivore doctor or anything.
But mine was well over 350. Like,
oh yeah, no, for sure, yeah.
Greater than 350, and then my doctor, like Carrie, remember how you said the nurse was kind of like, maybe it's might be my doctor legit was like, this is the highest number I've ever seen by a lot.
Yeah.
So that's sort of yeah.
And I think that'll be interesting to see. But I have heard that a lot of lean mass hyperresponders get really high, but then they level out. Like they go back down and they level out. So that'll be interesting to see.
Which is what would be interesting for me to check again, like in a year. Like I just had this done. So in a year, I will probably check again just to see, and then I'll follow Dave Feldman's research if my doctor stopped calling me. But if she will call me,
I definitely think you should get the CAC score. I think everyone should get a CAC score. They're not that expensive. Like before,
I think that's probably one of the best tests you could probably do. Is get a CAC, because that's literally going to tell you what's going on inside your arteries. I mean, if you got to build up and catch it early enough, you can deal with it before it becomes a stroke or a heart attack. That's much better than finding out after the fact.
Yep, agreed. That's what my doctor said. She's like, if your cholesterol just gets up to the point where it's too high, that in my opinion, and I think that your HDL is too low in comparison, we'll just get a CAC score and see what happens. I'm like, oh, okay, that works.
Kat, got anything you want to add?
I don't have any labs to share yet. I'm gonna go and I've been writing. You see me, I'm scribbling everything.
I know, I've got my notepad.
I've always got a pad of paper or something somewhere. Of course, I've blurred it out. But yeah, I'm gonna get mine done. I'm gonna order that because my triglycerides were really high. They had told me they'd never seen that high, and they were so high when I did have them back that they couldn't do all the other tests because it was so skewed. And I thought, there's no way, you guys made a mistake in the lab. And so they sent me to get him the second time, and no, it wasn't a mistake. And you know what? Where is that coming from? Eating plants. I mean, I ate plants.
I know, like, don't they say whole food, plant-based? That's the healthiest diet. Like,
well,
that's
they said.
Yeah. Yeah, so except for there's a lot of proof that people who eat plant-based have high triglycerides, so.
Yeah. Well, when I got mine done, I did get them when I went to see my nutritionist a few months ago, and they were still a little high, but they weren't like that. And now I don't have them on me right quick, but I'm going to order this CAC test and see what it says, because I'm just curious. But I know my doctor nearly had a heart attack, and they were calling me like, I think I was on speed dial. Like,
when their eyes go really big, and they're looking at you like you're going to fall over and die right in front of them or something like.
Yep.
They were just calling constantly, and I was at work, and I'm in meetings all day. I couldn't take it. It just kept coming up, Baylor Scott and White, Baylor Scott and White, Baylor Scott and White. And I'm like, what? Am I dying? What's happening? So I don't have anything to add yet, but I hope soon.
Okay. We'll say hi to Susan. We got the Carnivore Cabbie in here. B-Dog said ketogenic woman has a carnivore cheesecake. Somebody was asking about that in the comments, so I threw that in there real quick. And then Susan says, my triglycerides were 252 8 years ago, 124 in 2022, and now it's 76 in October of 23. HDLs are always been lowest, was 57, now 61. LDL was 146 8 years ago, went down to 95, but it's at 111 now. So
That's awesome. Those are
some good
great
numbers, Susan. That's worth huzzahing right there. That's worth,
Yeah.
that's good stuff. All right. Let me, now,
I
according to
think-
this, I got 52 new comments while I was working on that. So I appreciate you guys just blowing me up here today. So I don't take notes because I'm so busy over here with comments that I'll have to re-listen to this thing tomorrow to make sure I heard everything, because I won't catch everything else out here. Let me see. I'm looking for cues. If you guys want to talk there for a second, anybody got something they want to throw in?
So I'll say yesterday I was at a wedding, and at the beginning of the wedding, my brother said, well, I just don't think carnivore is healthy. These are snippets of my conversation. By the end, he said, I think I might try carnivore for a month.
Wow.
I'm going to convert you.
You converted him.
I'm going to be going to lunch with my brother, and I've got a friend too, but my brother and then this friend of mine have both gone low carb. Now, my brother's actually gone pretty low carb. My friend has gone low carb, but I mean, he's still stuck on the vegetables and, and eats a lot of them, but he has increased his meat and he's, not eating the bread and stuff. But now my brother's really doing well. And so we're going to lunch tomorrow, and we have a Mexican restaurant we go to and we just get the steak and eggs. And so that's going to be fun. So I'm proud of my brother. He has not gone carnivore, but I think he's probably leaning that way. He had actually mentioned carnivore to his doctor, and the doctor was like, oh, and this was just shocking to me. So I know where I'm going if my doctor decides to be a butt, because my brother's doctor said, oh, well, there's a diet that's even stricter than carnivore, and it's called Lion, and it's just beef, salt, and water. And so my brother told me about that, and I was like, and you mean your doctor didn't like spaz out because you said you were asking and talking about carnivore? He says, no, he said he'd heard good things about it. And I was like, oh,
Wow.
So yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is, like, I even had a conversation with, because I made broccoli for my kids the other day, and she was like, so broccoli's not that bad for you, right? And I had the conversation with her. I was like, it's not that vegetables are unhealthy. Like, it's not like you're eating a piece of bread. And I think we as carnivores, especially if you listen to Dr. Chafee and you're convinced that vegetables are trying to kill you, I think that we do get caught up on the like, oh, you got to cut out the vegetables. But I just told her, I said, look, as you grow, you're going to realize what affects you and what doesn't.
Yes.
We go a long time without having veggies, and I'll make you broccoli sometimes. If you notice after you eat that broccoli that you're gassy, or you got a headache, or this aches or that aches, then maybe broccoli's not the best thing for you. And I think that's what everyone has to do. So like your brother, if he's cutting out, I tell everybody, I don't think everybody has to be a carnivore. I think we all on this panel have a really strong reason why we became carnivore. If you don't have that reason, you're not going to want to do it. And I don't think you need to. But if you do it as elimination short term and you start adding things back and you realize, oh, my joint pain is back. I didn't even realize it was gone, but now it's back and I'm hurting again, because you don't think of these things. I think that's what's important. Like, cut out what is hurting you. And people don't realize that the spinach might just be hurting you.
Yeah, and he has anxiety too. And there are some things that we went through in childhood that contributes to that. But he's seen how much it's helped me, and I think that's why he's interested in it. And basically, I mean, he's given up a lot. Like, he doesn't eat bread anymore, and he doesn't. So it basically, he does just have the vegetables, and I don't. Like, I have told him how good it makes me feel, but then that's all I do. Like, I certainly don't preach at the at the guy. I wouldn't.
I get in a bad habit of preaching at people, so maybe we're talking to myself, but I do.
And I'm excited, so I want to tell people,
especially my parents.
I have to restrain myself.
They refuse. My parents refuse to, like, my mom. She tries, but my dad is just so gung ho on. He has his Cokes every day, and he has thyroid, like hypothyroiditis or Hashimoto's, whatever. He had the aneurysm. He's probably got heart disease and just hasn't had the heart attack yet. Like, all these things. And I'm like, dude, if you would, and he will not cut out the bread, the tortillas, the Coke, the milk, like the sugar laden milk, like all the things. I'm like, if you would, I even thought, like, I will pay you $100 if you just do this for 60 days. Like, but he won't do it, and I get so frustrated with people that just refuse to do what's best for their health. And I'm like, or people that come to me and say like, oh, I get headaches all the time, or I have this issue. I'm like, just try keto, just keto at least. Like cut out the sugars. God forgive me. I was about to say bad word.
Yeah. Absolutely. So here's how my trip to a restaurant goes when I eat out. So I'll go in there and I'll be like, okay, I'm going to order a little weird here for you. I want a steak. I want a medium rare. I don't want any sides. I want a loaded baked potato, but I don't want the potato, and so I'll have these conversations. And of course, at this point, the waitress or waiter's looking at me like, what? You want a loaded baked potato, but you don't want the potato? Yeah. I want all the fixings minus the chives. I don't want that. On all the fixings for the potato, just don't bring me the potato. And of course, this will lead to a question. This leads to a question every single time. Well, what type of diet are you on? Oh, well, let me tell you. And I tell the wife, I'm gonna convert every waiter and waitress I ever meet is gonna get an earful of carnivore every single time.
I love it. See, I don't even eat out anymore because I can't bring myself to get like a $20 to $30 steak that I can make at home for $10. And I have to say, I don't want you to cook it in oil because you use margarine and that's crap. And I don't want this. And I just need salt. And I'm just like, I give up. Me and my husband had a date night on Friday night, and I made ribeyes at home because usually we have chuck steak. So I was like, I'm going to splurge. I'm going to get the ribeyes. So we had ribeyes at home. We watched a movie. We played some video games. It was just a fun time. And I'm like, I don't need to go out and spend $50 for
I agree with you. I don't like eating out anymore than I have to, but there's sometimes where you're out
you have
and
to.
you got to do it. And, it works out to probably once every couple of weeks or something because me and my wife's schedule. And so we'll end up doing it. But yeah, every time you get a different waitress, it's just like, okay, I'm about to give you the 80-pound, how I've lost 80 pounds speech.
Yeah.
And,
but I love that.
And the funny thing is, some of them follow my channel now, and some of them are actually on the diet. So it's not like I've been unfruitful in my shot. Actually, here's my link tree. Click on it. Here's all my videos. You can come in here, and I've had conversations with a couple of them, online here. So it's you just got to put it out there. Not everybody's going to do it. I got coworkers that are like, oh, I can't give up Mountain Dew. I got to have my Mountain Dew. I'm like, well, then you're going to keep having these health problems. At some point when your health gets worse enough, I guess you'll decide that you can give it up. But right now, this is what's causing your health issues. And if you'd stop this, you'd be 100% better.
When it comes to like my family and friends, mine are kind of like that. They don't want to give up those things. And I get it because I didn't want to do it either. But I kind of stopped preaching the diet to people that my immediate family because they don't want to hear it. But what I'm hoping is they know how miserable I was and what a burden I was and how I couldn't do anything or go anywhere and just how bad it was. And they see me now and they're amazed. And I attribute it all to this change of my lifestyle, this carnivore lifestyle. And I'm hoping that living that reality in front of them is going to be enough to get, because I mean, I beat myself up and I shouldn't, but if my mother would have just switched, if we could have just got her to switch, maybe, right? There's all these maybes and you can't live that way. But like all of my very close family that are going through all these health things, I so want them to try this, but I can't make them. So I'm hoping that by them seeing what's changing in me and this different person, this person that used to be back when we were young, that will encourage them to at least start it. And then, of course, the channel, people don't know me. You don't know me from Adam. But if you go back to look at my first video 3 months ago and look at my face now and look at everything about me, you can see the difference. And for me, I'm going to let those actions or those realities spread the word, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. I have tried going out and saying,
I'm just so not good at it.
Yeah. And I come across as like, I don't know, mean or something. And people are like, whoa, back up, lady. Cause I'm all like very aggressive. Oh, you got to do this or
you're just like me
or just like I'm doing too much. So I just kind of,
I have kind of stopped with a lot of people in my life, like stop talking about it. But like my household does it because I cook, I buy the food, they have to eat what I make. But I've like, when we go out, I'm like, I'm not going to preach at them to order just meat, whatever. Like, I'd let them eat whatever they want. But it's really just the people that you see hurting all the time that it gets under my skin. I'm just like, or when people make excuses, like like I ate the pumpkin pie. I'm not going to make excuses why I ate the pie. I ate it because I wanted to, right? Like, just don't try to, like, people will, my parents are convinced that, like, this is going to sound bad, but even they were like, oh, squirt soda, it's not Coke, so it's healthy. No, like, you want it because you want it, but you don't have to justify it. Like, eat what you're going to eat because you want it, but let's stop justifying things that are unhealthy by trying to make them healthy. Like, let's just, I don't know. I'm really bad about that. Anyway, I see a question. Sorry.
No, we're good. No, we're good. Rich here says, anyone with pets, are they also on this type of diet?
Yeah.
So I started feeding carnivore to my dogs. I have fallen off that because, there's just the whole process of grinding up the chicken and so on and so forth, which I have a commercial meat grinder, so it's not that hard to do. But I want to get back to it. Carnivore Soldier, you can find him at Carnivore Soldier on YouTube, has an excellent video on the subject of making ground chicken. You're grounding the whole thing, bones and all. Raw bones are not bad for a dog. It's cooked bones that are bad for a dog. Raw bones aren't bad for a dog, and you grind the whole thing up and you can feed it to them. It's actually really good for them. It actually, from my understanding, it not only does it improve their health, it'll make their stool will be small and less stinky and and less frequent. So it's something to definitely look into. There's a process to it. You gotta make enough of it in advance where you can feed this every day, and you're gonna bring it out and warm it up because you don't really want to feed it to them cold. But yeah, I would recommend that video. Any of you guys feeding your dogs carnivore or cats?
I do. I feed my dogs. They're actually now with my husband, but we had done raw for them. We have pugs, and they have a lot of health issues. They can't have chicken, and they get like this itchy skin. And we didn't grind it up or cook it ourselves because, first off, I was a vegan, but second, and I'd be like the whole time while I was giving it to them. But we actually have a place in Texas, or there's a place in Texas that has a whole. It's not the farmer's dog. It's actually, and you could find it in your local areas, but they delivered, and it was raw food in packets that there'd be like beef, and then they would have the organs and all that, and the right amount of everything. Because when you're feeding raw to your dogs, you got to make sure, there's like psyllium husk and things like that in there to help them, or that's what they say anyways. But they would have all of the proper ratios of everything, the organ meats and all of that, and we would just have it shipped to our house and freeze it. But we've been doing that for years, long before I became a carnivore. It's really good for the dogs. They don't go to the bathroom as much, and their coat and their skin is beautiful, and they don't stink. Pugs stink, and in their eye rolls, they get really stinky, that it helps all of that. It's really great, actually. I want to try it with the cats, but I have, I think, the pickiest cats on the planet. Seriously.
Me too.
You have to do more of the organs for the cats. The cats like the liver and and heart and stuff. You grind that up for them. It's supposed to be really good for them. I did some research into that because I got 2 cats running around here, and I got 3 dogs and half a dozen chickens right now. So,
well, if you get a recipe for a good raw cat one, let me know, because, like I said, my cats they're like bougie as all get out. I don't understand it because
I love my dogs, I love my dogs and cats. Like, y'all saw my dog at the beginning. I love my dogs. But I am not a dogs or people. I'm not an animals are just as important as people type person by any stretch of the imagination. And I will feed them, like, they get a lot of scraps of steak, or like they'll get like some raw scraps, but I can't justify spending money that I could spend on my children on raw dog food. I can't do it. I know people are going to come at me.
Right.
I'm going to be the most hated person ever. I know.
No, I wouldn't say that. But the funny thing is raw dog food is expensive to buy, but to buy bags of chicken and grind it yourself, it's actually really cheap. It's actually a lot cheaper.
Like cheap chicken legs and stuff, but
Yeah, you're doing leg quarters. You're not doing chicken breast, but you're doing leg quarters. I do the whole. I have a big grinder, so it makes it really easy for me. But you can do it with a smaller one. But you're grinding the whole leg and thigh, through there, and it actually works out cheaper than feeding them dry dog food. So, especially if you buy it on sale.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like I'd probably spend like what, $8 on a whole pack, and I'm like, how long? Because I have a German Shepherd, I have a Husky, and then I have a tiny little mutt. So I'm like, I don't know. I feel like $8 is only going to last a couple of days, like if even.
Yeah, it depends on how much you're paying for dog food, dry dog food, but yeah.
Yeah, which I do try to get like the higher quality stuff, so I'm spending a lot of money on that too.
I did switch my cat from dry kibble to just a higher quality wet cat food that has like just meat and like broth, like fish and fish broth are the two ingredients, not all the other stuff. I'm not, honestly, I could barely get myself to make my own bone broth for myself. So grinding up that food is probably not going to happen.
It's so funny.
She lost weight and she has energy. She plays like a kitten now. She's 6 years old, so she never used to do any of that. You guys all saw her leap up on top of there. Like, she's everywhere. She used to not do that.
What brand food was it?
It's called Reveal.
I think I heard that one.
Reveal.
It's funny because I keep seeing a YouTube ad before like every video I watch. It's like, no living being should eat processed food every day of their life. And it's talking about like dog food and like the dogs eating the processed hard food. And I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it.
Former fat girl is in the house. Hey, Nicole, how are you doing?
Oh.
She's asking here. She says, hey, Daddy Butter. Laughing out. Did you see Kim's new name? So yeah, Nurse Kim is now the butter nurse. She actually changed it on her channel, which means I think you have to go 4 weeks before you can change it back.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So I'm assuming Nicole challenged her into it.
Is that the deal? Eating wellness with butter.
Yeah, I saw that in the first person. I said, oh, Nicole. I know that was you. Oh, let's see. I heard dogs and cats live longer on carnivore. That's true.
You got to think they're wild animals that were domesticated.
Well, they're carnivores. They're literally carnivores, and we feed them dry dog food that's vegetables.
Yeah, and it's funny because like we get so like I used to be terrified. Like I can't give them raw food. Like they're gonna get sick, salmonella. I'm like, they literally, if they found a chicken, like my husky, if she saw a chicken, she'd eat the whole thing right then and there, no questions asked.
My cats eat lizards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, I don't know why this is ingrained in me that it could be bad for them in any way possible.
Susan says, I wore a smaller top to choir and got 3 compliments about my weight. Then when I was told them what I was doing, another choir member said, that's the only way. So there's another carnivore in choir. That's the thing. There's a lot of people out there doing this diet. And so sometimes we like to be hush hush and quiet about it. Not me personally, but I'm just saying some of us do. And you actually find out there's other people doing this diet that are out there, and it gives you somebody else to talk to and interact with, because we all need support, especially if we're dealing with with bad sugar cravings. If we got really bad addictions to sugar and stuff, that support network is really important.
Yeah, my best friend is actually a carnivore, and she started before me, and I didn't know she was starting. And I was in my research phase, doing like 5 weeks worth of research before starting. And then she tells me that she started. And I'm like, this is a sign from the Lord. Like, it's really nice to have someone close to you especially someone you hang out with a lot. So it's like when I go to her house, I know I don't have to accommodate. And when she comes here, she knows that there's accommodations. Like, and it's no one's going out of their way. It's just really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a question here for Kat. It says, what place are you ordering from for your dogs?
It's David's Go Raw Pet Food. It's out of Huffman, Texas. It's not super cheap, but I don't own a grinder, and grinders are also not cheap. So for me, it was what I could do at the time, but that's Go Raw Pet Food is what it was called.
I wonder if you like tallied up how much you're spending. Like he told me with the dry food, maybe like tally up how much you're spending, and then maybe the investment in the grinder will be worth it.
I guarantee it would be.
Well, the nice thing about the grinder, and I hunt deer, so I have a grinder because I like making sausages and stuff like that. I got a horse and a half meat commercial grinder. I can make a whole deer disappear in a few minutes. So, the nice thing about having it is if you find meat on sale, like chuck, on sale, I can bring that home and make chuck burger out of it. I can make my own burger out of it. And so there's other benefits to having that grinder for,
Are they big though? Like if you're living, I mean, my kitchen is this big now.
mine would be fairly large for you.
Turn and I'm touching
But
everything.
you can get a one that fit on your counter that would be perfect for grinding chicken. You'd probably have to cut your chicken up just a little bit to get it in there, but the grinder works perfectly and it'll take care of business once it's in there.
Our friends.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Mine, I can literally feed. All I got to do is move the leg apart, and I can feed the whole thigh and the leg in there in one shot.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, I'm getting a little scared now.
Trust me,
Don't be telling me-
I boned a deer, and I ground probably 80 pounds of meat in under 7 minutes one time because I was just testing to see how fast I could do it.
That's
So
crazy.
But it's a commercial meat grinder. It's designed for moving a lot of meat.
That's crazy. Yeah, our friends own a farm and they slaughter their own cows, pigs, chickens, everything. So he has a meat grinder, but I don't think it's a commercial one. But I guess I could always just go to their house and be like, hey, I'm coming to grind up some meat today.
You find those bags of chicken on sale when they're on
Mhm.
sale, and you're getting a 10-pound bag of chicken for $6 to $8. You buy them up. I keep them in the freezer, and that's what I was doing. Then I'd pull them out, thaw them, and then I'd grind, and then I just refreeze, until I was ready to feed.
But if you have a
but,
dog like mine, you can't.
Can you do
have
that? Can you
chicken.
refreeze meat?
Yes, you can you can
Wow.
not if you want to consume it yourself, but yeah, there's
but for
nothing
the
gonna
dog,
bad.
fine.
There's nothing bad going to happen to the meat because you refroze it. What happens is when you freeze meat, it causes ice crystals to form inside the meat, which will expand, and then when you refreeze, it causes even more damage to the meat. So it's not going to be as tasty, to
Okay.
eat yourself, but to do what I'm doing, and I don't actually get it to a completely thawed out state, anyways. I just want it to a point where I can grind it because grinding it frozen is actually easier and it's cleaner.
I've always been told like once meat thaws, you can't refreeze it. And I'm
Yeah. If I'm going to eat it, no, because it'll be tough. But it doesn't do anything to the meat that's going to make it, unpalatable
Unsafe.
or make
Yeah.
it sick for you. No.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Maybe it might reduce its nutrients levels, so it might not be as much nutrients by refreezing it. So there's an issue there that maybe you could look at. I am looking for comments or questions, guys. Lots of comments in here. We appreciate you guys all having. Oh, here's another question. I'll throw this one up. Are there any bargain grinders out there? Carnivore Soldier has a link to one, but it's pricey for dog food. Absolutely, there are definitely some grinders out there. Cabela's makes a fairly cheap one that I know that designed it for a small kitchen. I would not get a hand crank grinder ever because that'll wear you out no matter what you're trying to grind. But you can get some smaller ones. They make attachments for if you got the
KitchenAid.
what's that? The KitchenAid. Yeah, the KitchenAid. They may actually make an attachment that goes on the KitchenAid, and you can put a meat grinder on it. So if you have a KitchenAid, that's just an added attachment.
Yeah. I'm looking at Amazon and I see things from like $70, $80, $160. I mean, they're not
Yeah,
like obviously huge
I would say
ones.
you're probably going to be in the $80 range for anything that's worth having around. If it's cheaper than that, it's probably going to be cheap, and you'll probably be breaking it.
Yeah.
Well, I can break it. I for sure can break something real quick.
Yeah, they're not as expensive as I thought. Though, looking at them. Of course, I mean, looking at them, you're not going to be able to grind like 15 pounds of meat super fast. But I mean, they look pretty solid. I mean, I would just go on Amazon.
As long as you cut it down to a size that'll fit in there, the grinder will do the rest of the work. And
I'm
it'll get it done
intrigued
for
to
you.
make my own burger and then maybe.
Because, the nice thing about making your own burger is you can add your own fat to it. So if you can get the fat from the butcher and you can get the chuck roast from the butcher or anything else that you want to grind up, you can
add it
up
all
the
in.
fat level of the burger. because every burger we're getting, is most of it's just so lean. And then depending on how you cook it, you lose most of the fat cooking it.
Yep.
And I'm having a hard time even finding the 73 lately anymore. Everything is 85. Even at Costco, I just grabbed a couple things of burger because I couldn't find. I don't like it that lean. I don't like the taste of it. So.
Well, and we need the fat. Like if we're talking about metabolic health, like fat is one of the most essential parts of our diet. That I feel like I was so lacking, especially at the beginning of carnivore. Like when I really upped the fat, oh my gosh, that's game changing.
That was the hardest thing for me because everybody says don't eat all that fat. We would cut. Well, I didn't, but I still watched my husband cut the fat off of his steak, and
hand it over to me.
We're just always taught not
Mm-hmm.
even on a vegan diet, you don't want fat. And that's hard, I think, for most beginning people coming into this way of life.
Yes.
It's just getting their mind around that, because the same thing, I still really struggled until I upped my fat. Now, this sounds disgusting to like my husband, but I eat pieces of butter, chunks of butter, because and I feel so amazing doing it. I freeze it and it's like a little treat, and my kids are all like, oh, gross. What are you doing? But that was the hard thing for me.
My kids like it too.
Huh?
My kids actually like it.
Mine don't like anything. They're the worst. But yeah, so that's, I think, one of the hardest things for beginning carnivore, even, just getting that mindset that let me add this dollop of this butter onto my steak and my coffee.
Because you get, like, for me, I was nauseous every single day on carnivore until I think it was October 17th was my last major bout of nausea. And it was only at nighttime. It would be, and I would, 3-4 hours since eating, but every night as soon as I lay down, I was getting really bad nausea. And I was really struggling with it. So I did have to cut back on the butter, but I've actually learned, I think it was the garlic that was causing my nausea, but
mine was dairy.
The fat will still especially at the beginning. So you really have to slowly bring it in for most people. You can't just, I'm going to eat a whole stick of butter today. Like it's slow.
Oh, you'll be in the bathroom for sure. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And it's funny because we were at my sister-in-law's, I think it was last weekend or the weekend before last. And she had made sausages, and I don't even eat pork, but she had made sausages, and she was draining out the fat from the pan. She's like, oh, look at all this nasty grease and stuff. And I was like, no, that's the best part. She's like, no, I can't eat that. And I'm like, no, that is so good for you. Put it back on.
So something that, for the ladies in here, my wife has been dealing with menopause for the last several years, and increasing her fat intake actually made all the symptoms go away of her menopause.
I'm only 27, so I'm hoping that if I stay carnivore between now and all that time, I will, in my mind, and I could be totally wrong, but I'm just like, menopause is going to be so easy for me because I'm going to be metabolically healthy.
I've been reading some women saying that they were in the thick of menopause and not having any issues on this way of life.
That's what I'm praying for.
Because John, you actually mentioned that in the last one that I was in with you. And so I was like, let me start looking. And I did. And I went down a rabbit hole, and there's so many ladies telling these amazing stories about it. And so, I mean, I'm 50, so I'm there.
Yeah, I'm 48.
My wife's 52. Yeah. There's something in butter, and I don't know it off the top of my head, but there's something in butter that adds and helps your hormones if you're on menopause too. And Dr. Barry, I think, had a video on that.
It's something that starts with a B, I think. Butter. I can't think of the name.
Butter.
I know exactly
just butter.
Yeah, we're not doctors, so
butter's good.
Butter's good, and I consume a lot of it. And I put a lot on the steak. I'll put it in my eggs. So definitely butter is a great source of fat. I also like to get fat from the butcher, but it's not as easy to find unless you got a butcher you're going to. I was talking to the Food City down here, and they're like, oh no, we give that out to somebody and they use it for making dog food or something. I'm like, what? But
so you just went to your butcher and you asked for fat. I mean, I'm listening here because the wheel is turning.
There's people that do it all the time. They just go to the butcher, up to the butcher counter where and they're trimming fat, for the steaks and stuff they put out. These steaks are coming in fatty, and they're trimming it off, and arbitrarily deciding how much fat they're going to leave on those steaks. And yeah, I've heard of people getting it for like 50 cents a pound and a whole platter package of it.
See, I need to find
You
a
just
local
go and
butcher.
say, "Give me all your fat," and they'll give you fat.
Trimmings. I want all your fat trimmings.
I haven't tried asking for that yet, but yes, I need to do that.
That'd be a great YouTube video. It'd be a great YouTube short. I'd love to see one of you guys, and maybe I'll do it myself. We'll walk in, we'll have ourselves recorded. Hey, I'd like to get your fat trimmings. I think that'd be a great YouTube short.
Yeah. One thing, my favorite thing to get from the butcher counter is the bacon ends and pieces, because they're $2.99 a pound, and they're just irregularly shaped, but it's just all the bacon from when they make the regular strips.
Yeah.
They're like little pieces, big pieces, but it's just bacon, $2.99 a pound.
I've never been to like a local, like
Best.
a butcher. Like I go to Sam's Club.
This is just at my grocery store. Just the
Well, you
grocery
go
store.
Even Sam's Club is trimming the fat, so you could probably ask them for it too.
Yeah,
I never thought about HEB. Huh.
Because HEB cuts their meat in
They
the
have
back there.
Yeah. I'm gonna got one right
We
now.
don't have them here, but we have King
I
Supers, which are
know.
like that.
I was like, you
so.
left Central Texas, you left HEB. How on earth?
My grandbabies, my grandbabies.
I know. I guess the
grandbabies.
grandbabies are more important than HEB. I guess.
But we have King Supers, and I think they're all kind of like Kroger-ish, right? So
Yeah. All very similar.
it's like the same exact thing. They even have the big plant section because I'm a plant nerd. But anyways, it's very similar, and they cut their meat back there too. So I'm gonna go in there and tell them I want all their fat trimmings and their bacon ends.
I know. I'm like, maybe I'm gonna go today. I think I might after this. I might just head up to HEB. Can I have all your fat, please?
I don't know if John's going to put it on there, but there was a lady in the comments that said that she went through menopause at 42 and she doesn't have any symptoms at all. And
praise the Lord. That's
Susan
awesome.
E. So
I didn't see it. What's the timestamp on it?
It was at 1:32. I don't know if that's your time or my time because I'm Mountain Time.
That's probably your time. So let me look here. So it'll be 2:32 maybe.
Susan E. She's got a flag in there.
That's awesome. I'm really looking. I mean, I will say that sorry, John, if you don't want to hear this, but my cycle is a lot easier than it usually is. And that's just the past, 2 months that I've really experienced that, but everything feels a lot better. And I get really anxious around that time because all the hormones and everything. And it's so much more tolerable while I'm on carnivore. And I feel like it has to do, I don't think it's just the cutting out everything else. I think it's the lack of carbs, inflammation, but the increase of the fat. I really think that is just so important.
Well, I had a hysterectomy, but John, plug your ears. I'm sorry. I had a hysterectomy but I kept my ovaries. So I still have all the symptoms every single month. And I noticed from being on the carnivore, John, my legs are not sore anymore.
Yeah.
I don't have I swear to you, I would even get phantom cramps. And John all of this I don't have any of those symptoms anymore. But even after the hysterectomy, I did have those. Every month I knew when it would have been my time. So
that's crazy.
And I see she's nodding her head. So I think she's going through the same thing. And
I had the same surgery, exactly. So 3 years ago. So, okay. So, Carrie, I didn't know that about you.
Oh, well, me too. It was about 3 years ago as well. So
okay.
I don't know if you guys notice, I don't have any of those symptoms anymore.
I don't either.
It's so bad that if I went like this, it hurts so bad.
Yep.
Yeah, that used to be a telltale sign of my cycle coming. And the past 2 times, I didn't really even know my cycle was coming because I didn't have that pain. So I was just like, oh, okay, I can handle it.
Why did I do this to myself, John? You did this to yourself.
You invited all ladies.
Honestly, I'm the one that started this conversation, to tell you the truth. And my wife, she had the exact same surgery. She had the hysterectomy because she had cysts on her my brain.
Yeah, those parts.
Yeah, but she still has her ovaries. She had everything else removed but her ovaries, but she's still been dealing with that in struggling and been taking different things and just getting her on a higher fat diet helped immensely. You know, and she knows it when she doesn't consume enough fat, because then she'll have a bout of hot flashes or something.
Well, and it's funny because I would watch different YouTubers, right? And they would talk about being on carnivore, but not having, good success. But usually they're on a high protein, low fat carnivore. And I'm a fan of protein. I lift weights. I think muscle is the organ of longevity. Like, we have to have muscle. It's so important. So I'm a big fan of protein. I think women should be having at least 100 to 130 grams of protein a day, 100 on the low side. But you have to get the fat in. But I'm like, if you're eating ribeyes and chuck steaks, you're getting the best of both worlds. Like, you're getting the fat, you're getting the protein. And then add some beef tallow or some ghee or butter. It's like, I'm really hungry.
I can tell.
Yeah,
I've got that bliss look on her face.
I only had a little bit of eggs for breakfast. It's funny because I don't even like the white. So I had a whole egg with like 6 additional egg whites or egg yolks in there. And I'm just like, oh, now I need a steak.
I always need a steak. There's never a wrong time for steak or pork belly and picanha. I can't get it here. I miss it so much. I could get it at Walmart in Texas. I can't get it anywhere. And I was like, I thought
I've never even heard of picanha. So
what?
I've never even heard of picanha.
Oh my God.
Picanha. I'm the picanha, like
you said it's like the part of the sirloin or something, right?
Yes,
is that what it is?
Yes. It's the sirloin cap. So if your butcher counter doesn't know what picanha is, you can order it as a sirloin cap, and it just has this big fat cap on there. You can, if you order it from the butcher counter, because I could get it at Walmart too, but my mom's Walmart doesn't have it. She's just in the county south of me. She ordered it from her grocery store butcher counter, sirloin cap, and their policy is to trim that fat cap down to 1/4 of an inch. And she said, oh no, don't do that. Just leave all the fat on.
Yeah.
So they left all the fat on. So I think I'm going to try that next too. I mean, it's very easy at Walmart because they're ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
But when I go to order my beef fat trimmings, I might order a picanha with all the fat left on there too. It's really delicious.
That. It was my favorite.
Yeah, we had to have chicken the other night because I do try to incorporate other things. And so I'll try to have chicken at least once every couple weeks. And we had to have chicken the other night, and my 6-year-old threw a fit that we had to have chicken. And it was like chicken legs and thighs with the skin and the good stuff. And he threw a fit that we weren't having steak. So I've spoiled them.
You fried in lard.
Oh, that would be so good.
I don't know. I don't like chicken.
It's the only way to do it. If you fry chicken in lard, those kids they'll love it to death. I'm telling you.
I'm gonna try that. I mean,
I
get
some lard.
I put it in the oven and I put tallow and stuff on it, but
yeah, lard or tallow works too. But I like lard. I put it in a cast iron pan and fry it on both sides. Look up Butter Bob's fried chicken on YouTube. Butter Bob, if you're not familiar with him, is like the OG of carnivore YouTube channels. And he has a fried chicken recipe, which is what my wife and I use for making fried chicken. It is excellent.
And I can't blame the kid for not really liking it. I mean, since starting carnivore, I feel like the more steak I eat, the less and less I like chicken. Like, I will not even touch chicken breast at this point. But
it's too dry.
My husband loves it. I'm like, well, vomit.
So is mine. Mine loves pork too. And I don't know about you ladies.
I don't eat pork.
Destroy pork. I can't cook it. It doesn't matter what I do. It comes out like a brick. I've tried everything. It's so dry. I don't know. I give up. I
just made a pork shoulder because my mom found a big pork shoulder at Costco and she cut it like, I don't know, I had a big 4-pounder or so chunk, and I just did it 9 hours on low in my crock pot with I think it was like 2 cups of water.
Shred it.
And then it fell apart. My husband was like, this is delicious. But I will tell you, I had pork 3 days in a row and I didn't feel, I wasn't sick, but I didn't feel the energy. And then I ate some flanken ribs and I was like, level up, like when Mario eats, like on the Mario Brothers, He's like,
I know Dr. Barry is very big on beef, butter, bacon, and egg, but like, you still can't convince me that bacon's good for you. You just can't. I know. I'm the, I know. Okay,
we won't talk on that subject.
Man, I eat a ton of bacon.
Wow, she is brave.
I know. I'm like, all the carnivores are going to hate me. I'm not against it though. My husband will eat bacon like it's nobody's business.
Have you tried beef bacon?
I haven't. I need to.
I haven't either. I've heard of that. I'm gonna
Beef
get
bacon
some.
is and I haven't been able to find it in the store, but I know you can get it from your local butchers. And then I order my lamb from a place called Billy Doe Meats, but they also have beef bacon there. And so I get it from there. But if you don't eat pork, try beef bacon.
Yeah. I think bacon's delicious. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me
So
wrong.
the same process to make bacon is the same process you make pastrami, which is actually made from a brisket. So, you're going to cook down a brisket and cure it. You're making pastrami. So, I mean, all those processes are still the same. Beef bacon is still processed, like pig bacon. It's just using that fattier meat. The nitrates and the nitrites or whatever it is, they come into question. Dr. Berry's got a great video on it where it talks about the fact there's actually more of that in your saliva in your mouth than's actually coming out of that meat.
Well, I do have to be careful with some of that stuff, like the curing process due to migraines. So
some people can't. I mean, it's like anything else. You got to know what you can and cannot do, and some people just can't do things.
But I love the
guys. We're at an hour and 45 minutes here. We've gone around here. We've talked about a lot of good subjects. I want to pop through these comments real quick and see if there's any other questions. If you guys spot something, give me a shout out to it. I'm going to do my normal end of the session question. Oh, here's a question. What's we got here? How do you all cook? You guys want to answer that one?
Yeah, well, I have a full recipe on my channel, but I'll tell you real quick. So just look at how many pounds your picanha is. I'll just use an example. If it's 2 pounds, then you're going to put your oven on 500 degrees and it's 5 minutes per pound. So if it's a 2-pound picanha, that will be 10 minutes. Before you do that, though, sorry, I forgot to say, I use the Redmond smoked salt. You can just use the regular salt, and I rub that in, and then I rub it all over with butter. Then I just stick it in a Pyrex dish, 500 degrees for 5 minutes for every pound. Then you just turn the oven off and let it sit in there for about 2 hours. And it just turns out like the perfect, it's like pink all the way through with a crust on the outside. It's super easy. It takes a little time, but there's like no prep. You just salt and butter, rub it on, and then the oven does the rest. And it never fails me. I make one every Saturday. I have leftovers today. Yay.
That's my favorite kind of meal that I can just prep on the front end and just cook it. And I don't have to sit there for 45 minutes cooking 7 steaks.
Yeah. Easy.
All right. Well, guys, this has been a great roundtable. I've enjoyed this. There's no conversation that's off limits here. I don't mind, talking about anything. So you guys aren't embarrassing me. I'm pushing 50. I've heard it all at this point. So I do appreciate you guys being here. I got some of you. I think you're going to be here again next week. I think Cristie, I think you're on the live next week. I appreciate you for that. We are. Got some good stuff coming. I got an interview with John Wood. He's got an amazing story. We're going to be doing a Carnivore Life video here, I think, in an hour and 15 minutes. And then I'm going to be on with the Butter Trucker tonight for the Bacon Convoy. So definitely check that out. I think that is, I want to say 8 p.m. tonight. I might be wrong. I'll have to go look at my calendar on it, but I know I do have an interview with him. So then I got some other good stuff coming up. The Dr. Lisa Wiedemann will be on here in December. So make sure you guys mark your calendar for that. Anybody who wants to come on the Carnivore Roundtable, you reach out to me by my email, which is carnivorebackwoods@gmail.com, or you can go to my Linktree. If you just look up Linktree and Carnivore Backwoods on Google, it'll be the top thing on the list. Look forward to talking to you. We can definitely, talk about being on the roundtable or just doing a one-on-one interview with you. Let's do a walk around here. Carrie, I appreciate you being on here. What's on your mind? What do you want to share with us?
I don't know. I'm leaning toward, it was kind of my theme this morning when I went on my morning walk, but look for the positive. For example, my dream is to live in the country. I want acres and I want trees and I don't want close neighbors. I mean, I want a community, but just not close neighbors. And so up until, I don't know, about a year or so ago, I guess, I've sort of changed my perspective in it. Instead of being unhappy where I am, I'm going to look for the beauty where I am. And so like when I go on my morning walks, for example, I listen to the birds, like the little short that I put up, you could hear the birds singing. You know, you could see the sun shining. Some mornings there's Jesus clouds. And if you just look for it, you can see it, even though you're in a subdivision. So I refer to it, and I've heard this before, you know, grow where you're planted and be grateful. And it just makes life so much better. And that's not to say that I'm always happy, hunky-dory, whatever, but it sure beats looking at the bad all the time, you know? So just, yeah, everybody, just look at the positive. That's on my heart today.
Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate you being here. You're always welcome to come back on another, live if you want to.
I do.
Absolutely. And of course, me and you are talking about doing a meetup in February. I'm going to be in Nashville in February.
Yep.
So we're talking about maybe having a meetup with other people there. So, if that's something that anybody's interested in, make sure you reach out and let me know if you're in the Nashville area or want to be in the Nashville area around the weekend of February 10th. Maybe we'll have a little meetup over a restaurant somewhere over and talk carnivore over some steaks. All right, Samantha, what's on your mind? What do you want to share?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I feel like this is a tough question. There's so many things I could share. I'm a sharer. That's why I originally started a YouTube channel to begin with, because there's so much I just love to talk about. But I mean, my biggest thing right now, if we're talking carnivore wise, is like really trying to get back in the routine and like of staying on carnivore and not allowing myself to cheat. And when I say cheat, I'm not like binging by any means. I will literally just have a few bites here and there of things. And then me and my husband have been sharing a cup of coffee every evening. But I feel like I really need to get back to being 100% carnivore. And like, I need to allow my heart to, not my heart, sorry. My whole body to heal and to no longer like be struggling with anxiety before I start trying to like introduce things in. So I don't know. I just need to get more strict on myself. So this conversation definitely helps with like reminding me why I do carnivore and what's the benefit of it. Because there's times in my mind I'm just like, why the heck do I even care? Just give me the cake, give me the cookies, give me the Oreos. But I don't. I need to just stay on the carnivore. So I don't know. And I'm doing a lot of prayer and like, just like, Lord, help me do this. Like, you brought this diet into my life. Help me continue to stay this way. So that's really what I've been thinking about a lot.
Good stuff. Absolutely. All right. Kat, what's on your mind? What do you want to share?
Well, I want to say to Samantha, especially, and everybody out there, that you need to give yourself grace. You don't beat yourself up over wanting that cake or that cookie. You're a human being, and you're not a failure ever until you quit trying. And so for me, that's the same thing that I want to say to everybody. This way of life has been it's such a life-changing thing, but we all fall off the wagon and we all, make bad choices. I completely binged on dairy for days on end and then wondered why I felt like total crap. But you know what? I did. I initially started to beat myself up, and then I realized that I just have to give myself grace, and you should give yourself grace, because you have a lot going on right now, and you had a piece of pumpkin pie, but this morning you had some eggs and you picked yourself up and you moved right on. And I think that's the big thing that we do here with this carnivore diet is just, if you fall off, just get back on and just move forward. And the holidays are coming, and everybody stresses a lot about, what we're going to have for the holidays and what am I going to cook. And it has become centered so much around food, but I just hope that everybody will center around their family and appreciate that the holidays are to celebrate those that we love. And, don't make the holidays about the food, make it about those people that you have in your life and those that you miss from your life. And so for me, that's it. That's what's been on my mind lately. Just give yourself grace. Just you are amazing, and you're doing an amazing job. We're all doing amazing jobs.
Well, it's a good thing we're all saved by grace, because we all need grace.
Oh, yeah.
So, Cristie, not to put you last, but here we are. We're at the end of this. What is on your mind? What do you have to say today?
So I would just say, I think I've said this before, but if you feel alone, like reach out to one of us in this community, because in September I started with some fitness and I thought I was like the only one. Like first I was all excited and then I was like, I don't see anybody else doing this. So, but then I started seeing friends like Rhonda at Carnivore Leo, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to start reaching out to people. I reached out. Carrie and I are doing a hula hoop fitness challenges month together. You know, I can't lift weights like Samantha over here. I probably never will. Good job, Samantha. You're killing it. I'm not
Right.
going to do that, but I'm going to hula hoop with Carrie every day. You know, or I'm doing plank challenge with Carnivore Brothers this month as well. So just find a way to reach out to other people, because they'll just reach back, and then this community is just great. And now I'm just enjoying, you know, my fitness kind of like my way, and I'm having fun with it. So I just hope everyone, you know, can take that to heart and kind of do the same.
Outstanding. Guys, I appreciate each and every one of you guys for being on here today. I appreciate your input and your knowledge and your commitment to the carnivore community. I challenge everybody that's still in the comments. We've dropped down from 30 to 23 when we started talking about closing this down. But I challenge the 23 that are still here, go hit the like button, go hit the subscribe button on each one of these channels. And then here's the big challenge. Drop down into the comments and just tell them thanks. Just tell them thanks, nothing else. Just tell them thanks for doing what they're doing, because they deserve, the credit because they're out there every day trying to figure out ways to get this message out to all of you. So we appreciate you. We will see you next Sunday, same time, 1 o'clock for the Carnivore Roundtable.